Chris, it's too early in the morning to make me cry, man. You can't be trying to bring tears to my eyes at this time of day, man.
No, that's deep, man. That's very deep, T. For me, it's weird because
A strong man cannot help a weaker unless that weaker is willing to be helped.
the more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, his influence in his power for good. So, I think that comes with, because it's like a bit of maturity.
So we are here with the Power of Pages book review channel. Welcome back. I go by Ty.
Yes, Mr. Fly here, POP in the building. What's going on?
And this
Power
month,
of Pages.
this month we are reviewing As a Man Thinketh.
Yes.
I'll just put it up to the camera there. My book actually has a second story in it, but yeah, it's still the same book as
I got the
Mr.
original,
Fly's.
that's why.
Yeah. You got that old school copy. When I went to buy the original, I think it was like some extortionate pricing, man. I was like, nah. Let me just get...
It might be worth some money then. Maybe I could sell it and buy it again back to you.
Maybe. Firstly, why did you pick this book?
I read this book a long time ago, and a book that there's a lot of, as we'll get into, there's a lot of good quotes and things from this book, and it's come up in conversation with a few people. Even I think one of the podcasts that I did with Dan from Melanated and Proud, we were talking after off camera, and he brought up something from this book, and then and since then it's just a good book. I liked it, so something I definitely wanted to read with you. So I thought this is the best opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I guess I wanted to just start by summarizing it, and maybe you can adapt on the summary.
Yeah.
This book is basically, in my eyes, all about our thoughts and how they impact every aspect of our life.
Yeah.
And
that's
the book.
Yeah, literally. That's literally it. I mean, it's everyone, they say like it's one world, but everyone lives in their own world, in their mind. So this is something that kind of, it's like, okay, what kind of world are you creating? What kind of person are you in your mind, and how does that then play out in the external world? Do you know what I mean? Via the internal versus external. So yeah, definitely. And you have to, well, I can't disagree with the fact that a lot of it is created. It's about perspective. It's very deep. So two people can look at, is the glass half full or is it half empty? There you go. For example, that's down to the perception of that person. And this book kind of goes into that, and it doesn't really. It's the way I saw it was, I was saying to my wife, it's like it's kind of like non-stop bar. There's so many quotes there's literally like so many quotes, hundreds of quotes you could take from this book. And it's all about your thoughts and how your thoughts equal things, and how your thoughts play out in the real world, and what impact that has on your life.
Yeah. And I think I mean the chapters, let's go through some of the chapters. So thought and character is one chapter, and one of the things that I did love about this book was the quotes, because the quotes are quite powerful. Yeah, the quotes are powerful when you actually sit there and think about it, and I believe in them. So here's one quote: "A noble and godlike character." you got this one.
I'm laughing. Well. Yeah. I'm laughing because that's exactly. Sorry, bro. Yeah, that's exactly the quote that I wrote down. Yeah. Go for
it. A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the natural result of continued effort in right thinking. So yeah, a noble
drop.
Mic drop. Yeah, and that, I mean, that speaks for itself, right?
Yeah. I think, your character is what either draws people to you or repels people away from you. And that's something that I'm realizing more and more as I get older, and more as I kind of enter different types of rooms and be in different environments. It's something that maybe I was aware of when I was younger, but I couldn't put a word on it. I couldn't actually pinpoint what it is or what it was, but something I've seen from observing. Some people are just type of people that people want to be around for no reason. People just like to be in their company. They like to just be around them or affiliated with them. And there's another side to that, where sometimes people, if they're materialistic, they'll just want to be around people that have a lot because it makes them feel like they have a lot. But you'll also see people that don't really have a lot of things in regards to like material things, but their character is such that people just like to be in their presence. I think you're like that, Tyler, to be fair. Like people want to be around you. They'll just, for no particular reason, they just want to be kind of in your environment. And that comes down to your character. And obviously the way he's put it here, like a godlike character. It's not saying you're God, but it's like a godlike character. Like you're trying to be humble, with humility, do you know what I mean, honorable, those sort of things. It warms people to you. And then that is not something that you can maybe have certain inclinations that you're born with, but it's something you have to work on and continuously by doing the right thing, by being a role model, by being virtuous, by being humble and human, all these sort of things by being hardworking, honest, all these sort of things. It's something that's continuous because there's different opportunities every day to work on that or to work against that. So yeah, that's that thought and character. There we go. The thought and the character of a person.
Chris, it's too early in the morning to make me cry, man. You can't be trying to bring tears to my eyes at this time of day, man.
Come on, man. Listen, real men cry, you know. Real men cry, bro. Don't watch it. But no, but you get my point. You get my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's not really much more to say, but it's just funny that we both picked the same. Because the way I went through this, like, you know, the thing with this book, which I liked and didn't like, is just like the best. It's just bar after bar after bar after bar. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like, you know, like if you've got different type of rappers, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got some rappers that they're storytellers and they tell a story and you're intrigued for the whole story and you're listening. Then you've got other rappers that they just drop one-liners, punchline. And then do you get what I mean? So it's like this book is like a punchline book, but it's that is a good thing in the sense of you could go through this book and like I said, I read this years ago. I highlighted so many things, like I wrote little notes and little asterisks and whatnot. But then it also sometimes is like you have to go back and read it again because like, well, that was a lot, man. What did I actually just read? Do you see what I mean? So that was, and then when you go back to other books that I was telling the story, it's a little bit, it resonates a bit more with me anyway. I don't know how you felt, but that's kind of how I felt about it. So pro and con in that sense. But yeah, man, the bars are crazy. The bars are crazy.
Yeah. And to end on that section, positive thoughts are great, but this is something that I always love to preach. Positive thoughts are great, but we must take action.
Yes.
Like it's good to think about you know, I want to be a good person, I want to be kind, I want to be generous, or I am that type of person, I am caring, loving. But if your actions don't match the thoughts, then it was, I don't want to say it's a waste, but they need to match your thoughts. I
think it's like that goes into like, you know, I work with a lot of young people, so I see this a lot. And not only in young people and everybody, but it comes down to like potential. And it's like with potential, everyone has the potential, isn't it? But if all you have in regards to this kind of the character or the thoughts, that's potential. You know, I want to do this. You know, I'm sure you hear it a lot, Tyler. I hear it a lot. Let's just talk about fitness, okay? You know, I have my fitness goal, whatever that goal is. I have my fitness goal. Some people have that fitness goal and then they work towards that fitness goal. They encounter setbacks along the way, but they continue to work towards that fitness goal. Some people, they have a fitness goal and that's all they have. The mental fitness goal. I want to achieve this goal, and it could be whatever it is. Everyone's goals are different. And those are the two kind of things where two people have the thought, one person will work towards it, the other person won't. And that is that kind of follows on from what you're saying. And again, if you have got the potential of being a great athlete or being a great father or being a great mother or being a great brother, whatever it might be, but you never act on it, and if all you have is potential, then you don't really have a lot. You know, you have to actually act on that potential. You have to get busy, man.
Yeah, I think that segues nice onto the next chapter, which is about the effect of thought on our health and our body. And one of the quotes that I liked from this is, the people who live in fear of disease are the people who get it. When we're worrying so much about certain things, we're attracting them. If we're worrying about, well, I don't know, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but that's
no, bro. You know what? I remember that from when I read it the first time.
Okay.
And you know, that's something that's weird because it's energy, and you're kind of putting thought into something. So it's hard, man. Yeah, I mean, that's something that's quite scary, because it's like, it's, okay, some people believe in the power of the mind, some people don't. But if you constantly thinking, oh, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, you're constantly thinking about what you don't want. So that's where your focus is.
Yeah.
And obviously that plays out into health, which is, when you think about that, it's quite scary in a degree.
Yeah.
Like, if you constantly think of certain of things that you don't want, how much energy are you putting into those things as opposed to thinking about what you do want? And then that plays out in health. It can also play out in other scenarios as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's a story, actually, it wasn't in this book, but I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but there was I think it was a baseball game, and they asked the guy, like, oh, what would be the best thing, for you to win? And it was like, yeah, if we hit the home run and I catch it and get them out. And it's like, okay, what would the interviewer was like, what would be the worst scenario to happen? Said, oh, if they hit it and the ball comes to me and it went through my legs and I missed it, and then the other team went on to win. That second scenario is exactly what happened. He said it in an interview before, and that scenario, he put that out there into the atmosphere, and it's exactly what happened. So the mind is so powerful. It's one of the reasons why I love, being positive. I love being optimistic, because when we have these positive thoughts, I believe it can impact every aspect of our life. So
yeah, it's funny, right? Because I mean, I kind of took little bits from every chapter, but going on what you just said, it's like, it reminded me of two things. One is in Winners, when we read Winners way back.
Yeah.
And when he interviewed Floyd Mayweather, and obviously Mayweather doesn't, obviously when he was boxing, he doesn't think about losing. He just doesn't think about it. He's just thinking. And that's one mindset. And then there's another mindset, and I forget what book it was, but I know the story is about the swimmer. I'm gonna forget Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
And obviously, and we spoke about this before. I spoke about it a lot. And when he's talking about, in his mind, he thinks of every scenario that could happen, and they rehearse the scenarios. So it's like, his mindset is, I think about all the bad things that can happen, but then how I'm going to react and respond to those things, right? Which is kind of something more that aligns more with my mindset with whatever I do. But just that made me think about that when you said that, because I'm thinking he kind of fell into a trap that the reporter accidentally didn't intentionally set, I'm sure, but it's like he literally laid out the worst thing that could happen, and then that was the end of the story.
Yeah.
As opposed to, well, this might happen, but then, so he didn't. That was the end of the story. Literally, I dropped the ball, and then whatever happened. So it's just funny how, like, because I'm not one. I mean, I'm not one for. I focus on. I'm aware of the negatives around, but then I'm also aware of how we respond to them. Again, it goes into every single walk of life. It's about problem solving. Life's one big problem. You've got to solve it. And then that again applies business, sports, relationships, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that Michael Phelps was from Winners as well. There were so many.
Yeah, but I've heard that story so many times.
Yeah,
so it's like, I forget where I hear it from. I've heard it on podcasts. I've heard it, but it's something that definitely sticks with me. Because what do you think about that?
Yeah, what in terms of winning?
Yeah, in terms of like thinking of the negative or not thinking of the negative.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
Mayweather,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
approach or Michael Phelps approach, if you get what I mean. Like,
Yeah. I think more Michael Phelps, because I think you have to be aware of the possible of the flip side of it and how you can respond to it. So I think I actually don't believe Mayweather doesn't think about some of the negative sides. I'm sure he thinks, if I get dropped, what would I do then? How am I going to rise up like a champion? I can't imagine that he wouldn't have planned for those scenarios.
True.
I mean, maybe he might even think, oh, I'm not even going to get dropped. That would never happen, potentially. So I would be more think of the Michael Phelps side. Okay, if this situation happens, how would I overcome it? I
no, you're right. It's not to say that Mayweather doesn't think about a negative situation arising and how you respond. Yeah, you're right. But
I guess it's not thinking about that negative outcome in a negative way. It's like, how can I turn that negative into a positive?
Yes.
So I think, yeah, that's the approach. Yeah. Okay. The thought factor in achievement was another another chapter. Did you write any specific quotes from that?
Not for that. No, not
Yeah.
from that. I mean,
okay, I did. So so yeah, I'll give the bars.
Chop them, chop the mic.
All that a man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is the direct result of his own thoughts. And again, I like that because, you know, when we think, our thoughts lead to actions. Hopefully, our actions lead to success, or, you know, things happening. So that's one. And this was another one that I liked as well, because I think for me personally, like, I love to help people. Like, I love to try and gas people up, you know. Just, bring people along. You know, if someone wants to achieve something, all right, cool, let's go. Like, how are you gonna do that? But this quote resonated with me a bit. It was, a strong man cannot help a weaker unless that weaker is willing to be helped. And even then, the weak man must become strong of himself. And it was like, yeah, you can't help everyone unless they're willing to help themselves. Yeah, so you can't help someone unless they're willing to help themselves. You can help to a point, but at the end of the day, we're all individuals and we're all responsible for our own lives. So yeah, that one,
mate, it's like, you help a lot of people with business, and you've been helped in business.
Yeah.
So, you've got mentors, I've got mentors. Your mentor can't do the work for you.
Yeah.
They can't. They can help you do, but and the thing is, until you're at the point where you're actually willing to do the work, you're, as they put it in the book, like, you're weak in that sense. I mean, in that case, like, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink, for example. Do you know what I mean? So you can't help people that are willing to help themselves. Like, you can try and advise them and you can give them the support, but until they're willing, and that's where you get to the point where, I think people go through phases, because until someone's kind of at a rock bottom stage where they're like, all right, I need to make a change. They make, until then, that's the only point they're willing to make a change, and it could be within the business, like within anything. So like in a business situation, it's like, you could have been trying something for the longest time and you've been getting advice of maybe try this, maybe try that. But people always go back to what they know, or what they're comfortable with doing, or well, it's always worked for us in the past. We've always done this in the past. Someone can advise you and give you their thoughts on what you need to do to change things. But if they're not willing, the person's not willing to take it on, then there's nothing they can do until they kind of become like the quote said, like, to become strong themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true. I agree with that 100%. There is one that, like, I was looking because like I said, I highlighted a lot. I think in this book, so I'm looking this one here that I like.
Let me reel one off while you're looking, because just off the back of that one, it's I think it was pretty closely in the book. A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts.
That's funny. Yeah, well, that's the same one I was gonna say. Anyway.
Sorry, bro. Sorry.
It's fine. But yeah, go. What's your thoughts on that one?
So, off the back of that, we have to lift our own thoughts to then rise. We have to, if we're maybe a bit down, not feeling good, we have to find a way to lift our thoughts and then allow that to take action. Whether it's, just, all right, you know what? I'm just going to get out of bed today, man, and just make my bed. That's, the first step, for example. How
do you do that?
What, like, get out of bed?
No, not get out of bed. Like, how do you, right? Because obviously we all go through, like, phases, right?
Yeah.
you know, if you're, how do you rise yourself up? What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. And I think one of the big things is trying to always come back to gratitude and just think, what am I grateful for? And also something that we've both been doing since the start of the year is cold showers in the morning. Honestly, um, when I wake up, you know, sometimes I might be a bit groggy, you know, not, you know, I think, in fact, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, I just imagine that you wake up like just full of energy and just you're good to go. And it's like, I'm definitely not that way. Like sometimes I wake up, I'm a bit tired, a bit groggy, like not feeling it. Maybe I might not be motivated for the day. And that cold shower just bam wakes me ready to go. But that's not everything, you know. It does so much, but but I think for me, gratitude, trying to come back to what I'm grateful for, helps to realign my mind. But yeah, lots of different things. You know, exercise, even if, for example, in the day, maybe I've had a slow day, maybe I've come back to gratitude, maybe it hasn't, you know, worked 100%, and then I've gone to the gym in the evening, gone and sweat it out, you know, hit some bags, and that's got me out of my funk or whatever. Because yeah, we all go through funks from time to time. Well, I believe most people do. But yeah, finding the right ways to lift our thoughts as individuals, I think, is important. And for me, one of the things is to remember that I am very, very lucky in life. We're all lucky in life. You know, we're lucky to be alive. We're lucky. So when we come back to that, how can you be sad? You know, wow, I'm breathing. So yeah, what about you?
No, that's deep, man. That's very deep, T. For me, it's weird because, you know, I'm aware, like I know myself well enough now to know that I appreciate when I'm in a good vibe, like when I'm on a good place, like I'm like, right, I need to rinse this because I know it's not going to last, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but when I do get low, there's two things, because obviously Brian Tracy, he said something like, when you're kind of, what I'll do is, me personally, if I'm in a place where I'm not in a good place, I will accept it and surrender to it for a period of time. I'll be like, you know what, cool, I'm here now. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'll be like, oh no, everything's great, everything's bomb, I'm all great. I'll accept it and recognize it. But then I'll also say, okay, if I feel low, I'll be like, I'll feel low for, I'll give myself a time period, like whether it's 10 minutes, a day, a weekend, whatever it might be. I mean, I say, you know what, I'm just not here yet, but I'll know that. But then I'll start to do things to get myself out. So I know exercise is a big thing for me, because literally, if I'm, and you know, like, you know me, so you know when I'm kind of in a certain place, if I train, I can't help but get gassed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a physiological thing. I can't help it. Like, I'll get pumped. Like, it's just gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? No matter what. And even as well with that, it gives me time to think and to process things. You know, also the things that we put, like gratitude is weird, because I can tell when and I've got another friend as well who's really big on gratitude. And with me, well, I was kind of doing that gratitude journal in the past, but I realized from seeing yourself and also my other friend that does it, that I don't give it enough time to. You have to really sink on the thought, and you can't just be like, well, I'm grateful for this, 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 this. Like, you have to sit down and think of what that really means. I mean, I could even tell by the way you were talking about it a minute ago. Then even like things like my faith kind of brings it back to it. You know, when I go to church, that will always kind of like, I'll come out feeling fresh. I'll come out feeling ready for the week ahead. It kind of feel like I've washed myself off the previous week. So yeah, those are the main things, man. Like just the movement. I think going to church gives me the space to be grateful. Actually, when I think about it, that's the moment, because there's nothing else going on, like besides just being grateful, being in the presence of God. So things like that help me a lot, man. But yeah, I feel like something I maybe need to work on to some degree is that gratitude, because I do feel grateful, but I don't think I spend enough time actually thinking on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you really sit in on it, you can't help
Yeah.
but not realize that, wow, we're lucky. And I have to big up one of our book reviews before, and one of our books that we've read, the Jay Shetty Think Like a Monk. you know, I think I've always accepted gratitude, you know, in some form, but I think it was that book that really made me appreciate and, you know, dive deeper into it and how powerful it is. Because that book. So, and yeah, we've got a review on that book. So yeah, check it out on the book review playlist. Cool, man. Is there anything specific that you wanted to touch on in the book?
So one of the later chapters, visions and ideals. I think no, it wasn't a lot. Maybe second to last chapter. Yeah, and then just dreams are the seedlings of reality. You know, so again, seedlings. What is a seed? You plant a seed, you water the seed, and then the plant grows. You see what I mean? So going back to what we said before, it's no good in just having the seed. Like, you've got the seed there, but you've now got to nurture it. You've got to do what you need to do in order to make that grow. But yeah, you know, I've got dreams to reality is one of my kind of quotes. One of the things that I kind of say quite often. And yeah, but there's a lot between that dream and that reality. There's a lot in the middle, which that's where you've got to be prepared to do the work, to have the setbacks, to do what's required. So your dreams are the seedlings of reality. Everything we look around, the fact that we're talking now through this technology, someone envisioned that in their mind for it to happen through the phone. Do you see what I mean? So if the person who invented the phone just had that idea in their head and didn't do nothing of it, who knows? Do you see what I mean? So
yeah,
that was something that, yeah, you know, dream, vision and ideals, you know, it's about working towards that vision. You know, without vision, what do we have?
Yeah. Do you have a bar for that one? Did you write down a quote?
No. I mean, if I highlighted it, but I just wrote that as a thing. So Jesus, but I feel like you've got one. So
yeah, of course, man. I got the bars.
Give it to them.
Got the bars. In all human affairs, there are efforts and there are results, and the strength of the effort is the measure of the result.
Say that again, bro. Say that again, bro. Because I was looking through. Say that. I need to go.
In all human affairs, there are efforts and there are results, and the strength of the effort is the measure of the result.
Big.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just end the day, you know. That's enough to this. I'm gone. Saved. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that's big, man. It's true. I mean, you're gonna get that from this book. This book is like, and I know it's a very, like, the book is very short. It's only like 45 pages.
Yeah.
But this is something you could read and just to charge yourself up, man. You can literally just pick a chapter a day and just find there's something that's gonna pump you up, man. Yeah. I think. It's big, man. It's big.
Yeah. And the last chapter, Serenity. Yeah. Did you write anything?
Yeah. The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, his influence in his power for good. So, you know, I think that comes with, because it's like a bit of maturity.
Yes.
Because when you're kind of like, when you're coming up, you're maybe not as tranquil in yourself because you're not as comfortable in yourself. Maybe a bit of insecurity there, X, Y, Z. The older you get, or the more experience you get, it's not always defined by age. Then, you know, that's where you become more tranquil, and then you kind of have an air of confidence about yourself. You kind of have an air of confidence, a bit of reverence, and so you kind of enter the room with that tranquility where you're not nervous, and you know. So it depends. It doesn't go into that deal, but that's kind of how I interpret it.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I got some bars. The strong, calm man is always loved and revered. All right, go on, give me the next one. Funny. Give me the next one.
Yeah, no,
no, actually, that one continues.
Yeah, but I didn't do the whole thing.
Yeah, the strong, calm man is always loved and revered. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Anyway, he is like a shade-giving tree in a thirsty land, or a sheltering rock in a storm.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Yeah, like that quote would hit me because I deeped it, and it's like, with like my mom and my sister, I very much feel like I'm the shade-giving tree. So when I read that quote, it kind of made me feel like a bit proud because, yeah, my mom and my sister both, you know, call me, and we've got very good relationships, and I just felt proud to be to be someone that they can confide in and share advice, get advice, or just talk to if they're however they're feeling. So yeah, that quote made me feel proud, man.
Yeah, and again, that's the last chapter,
Yeah.
and that links totally into like the godlike character, that shape giver. Do you know what I'm saying? So it links up. So there's like a thread throughout the book, and yeah, that was and that's again where that's that person that, because the reason why you're strong, you're calm, so they know that no matter what might be happening, your calmness is going to translate into them, and the calmness will bring clear thinking, which will bring, so it's all about kind of being like one of our friends, like Ryan, he always talks about, being attractive, and not in the sense of like attractive, like, your looks, but attractive in your character and your personality. And that is something that I think, yeah, that's strong and calm. You always loved and revered. Do you see what I mean? Because it then exudes calmness onto other people, So yeah, I wrote that saying. It's funny. I feel like you saw my notes or something, because this is quite funny.
I mean, the book's not big, so
yeah,
I think it's
that's
very easy to get the same quotes. Okay, cool. Let's go into our difficulty rating and star rating. I think I'm first because you picked. I don't want to let this conversation sway my scoring, because the way I'm feeling after this conversation,
it's gonna influence, yeah.
The influence of this conversation has impacted my number. So I don't know if I want to increase it. So anyway, well, that's the star rating. We're on the difficulty rating. We'll come to that. So the difficulty rating, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5, because it was easy enough, because it was so short. It's such a short book to read. But again, some of the language, it's got some of that old English language that is just a bit difficult to understand at times. You kind of have to, or you just have to read it carefully and think about it. And I've realized I don't like that writing style. So yeah, difficulty, I'll give it a 2. So yeah, what about you?
For me, difficulty, I'll give it like a 2.5. And the reason I will is because it's so short, it's like things that are easy to do are also easy to not do. So it kind of like, I don't know, it's and as well, that's for one reason, but also because it doesn't, like I said, because of the way that it's told. Like I enjoyed reading like The Richest Man in Babylon, for example, more than this, because of the stories. So that's kind of like, that kind of made it a little bit more difficult to read, because it's kind of hard to follow. It's just, like I said, it's kind of like this bar after bar. Don't get me wrong, there's so many quotes in here. You could literally fill up, you could do so, like you wanted to kind of look for quotes and put them up or whatever, you could do that. But yeah, it made it a bit hard to read, because it kind of like, it was hard to concentrate a little bit. So not so much the language, more the writing style, as in the fact that it was just like facts. So yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, okay, cool. And star rating, the way I feel after this conversation, I want to give this a 5. But I'm going back to my original number, and I'm going to give this a 2.5, which is quite low, but more because there was no real storytelling. The quotes in this book are banging. They're proper. The quotes in this book are banging, but as far as a book goes to read, I didn't enjoy reading it. I enjoyed the quotes at times, but the actual reading of it, in theory, this book should take 2 days to read. Less, could read it in a day. I mean, you could read it in a few hours if you're a proper reader. But yeah, I mean, it maybe took me a week, because I was only reading 5 pages a day or something like that. So yeah, 2.5.
I think for me, because I was kind of floating before the book, I didn't really have a number in my head. I was like 2.5 or 3 or 3.5. I was kind of floating around that. But again, similar to what you said, I can't really add too much on that. But I was like, I would recommend this book. I think it's a book people should read, as in everyone should read if you're like into personal development and into positive thinking and whatnot. I feel like it's a book everyone should read. It's one of those books that everyone should read. But again, how much did I enjoy the book? I enjoyed parts of it, but again, the stuff that you said and the stuff that I've said prior. But because of this conversation, I'm actually going to give it a 3 because I think it deserves a 3. It's not a 2.5 book for me. It's definitely a 3. It's not, and again, it should be 5, but it's not. It's 3. If you get me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes a bit of sense. So, so 3 anyway.
Okay, cool. All right, next month's book we have Triggers, by Marshall Goldsmith, and yeah, subscribe so that you can see how we get on with that book review. Watch whatever book review is on the screen now. This is the power of pages. We review books, and I hope you are a reader and on your reading journey. Peace and love. Yeah, go on.
Also, because I know, you know what, yeah, obviously, I know people do watch this, like, because people have come back to me and said, oh, thanks for recommending this book. So people that watch this, like, honestly, thank you for watching this, because, like, yeah, I appreciate you, and I know Tyler does as well. So yeah, thank you.
Big up all the loyal subscribers and likers. Don't forget to press like. Peace.